Welcome in, David Lloyd and Chiney Ogwumike here talking NBA, specifically Paul George's second year in Oklahoma City. Chiney, we know he committed to the team, and now they check out in the first round again. Was it the right decision by Paul George?
I definitely think it was the right decision by Paul George because he became an MVP candidate while he was in OKC this season. If you look at his numbers, he had career highs in points per game at 28. He had career highs in 8 rebounds per game, tied for his best in assists per game. And then again, he led the league in steals per game. So yes, he had a tremendous year. I know a lot of people say, oh, they exited earlier, but people they forget the fact that Paul George was not 100% for most of the season past All-Star break. If he was 100%, I think we'd see a different OKC team, but he missed 5 games this entire season. He was playing through adversity, playing through some injuries. So if he stayed healthy, we might see an MVP caliber Paul George, but he didn't, and I think that really assisted in the early exit.
Yeah, I think for a while there, he was sort of on the periphery of the MVP conversation.
Top 3, for sure.
With Harden and Antetokounmpo. The question I have is, should he be the alpha dog in OKC? Should it be him instead of Westbrook?
It's funny because you say alpha dog, and that's clearly Russell Westbrook's strength. But I do think that Paul George should be the alpha dog. And I'm not saying this in a way to disrespect Russell Westbrook, but more so he needs to defer more because in Game 5 versus the Blazers, Paul George was 14 of 20 from the field, his best shooting percentage since December. Now, Russell Westbrook, 11 for 31 from the field. So when Paul George is cooking, you should give him a chance to determine the outcome because he's more than capable of leading a team if you think about what he did in Indiana. So if Paul George is having a great shooting night, you need to lean into that, and that's what Russell Westbrook needs to do. Everyone knows Russell Westbrook did not have a good shooting year. Yep. Well, guess what? You have another guy that plays really well off ball with you. So give him a chance to win you some games. Yeah,
but is Russell Westbrook going to be able to change his spots? He's a fierce competitor. We know that. I don't see him relinquishing the number one option. You know what I'm saying? It seems like that's going to be a hard sell for Russell.
Well, if you think about it, everyone's talking about they have not advanced after the first round ever since Kevin Durant left, and I think he's going to internalize that. And I know a lot of people are criticizing Russell Westbrook because of how he shot the ball this year and how ball dominant he is. But in actuality, he had a really good year. I mean, this is the 3rd season in which he's averaged a triple-double, and these aren't Joe Schmo triple-doubles. Again, I mean, his shooting numbers were down, and he was at like 25 points per game compared to the first time he was 30 points per game when he averaged a triple-double. But if you look at him in the rebounding, he's one of the best true point guard rebounders in the league. So Russell Westbrook is a guy that, although he had some deficiencies this year, he gave you a beefy triple-double. He's competitive on both ends. Now he just needs to find more balance to lead the team, and that is good when you have Paul George, right?
I'm just going to throw this out, all right? You ready?
I'm ready for this.
Would you ever consider a trade of either Westbrook or George to try to change the trajectory of this program?
I would not consider a trade of Russell Westbrook or Paul George. Russell Westbrook is the heart and soul, the identity. He's the day one of the OKC Thunder. Paul George, he clearly committed to playing alongside Russell Westbrook, so I would not consider a trade. But the thing is, you need to create some balance and harmony because if Russell Westbrook is not shooting the ball well, you need to have Paul George empowered. If Paul George is not healthy, who else is going to step up? They really invested in Steven Adams, but outside of that, they have a little bit of a thin bench, right? Yep. So Russell Westbrook, I think he's the heart and soul, the identity of this team. This offseason, he'll want to be healthy, but he'll want to get some shooting reps because that's the only thing that allows him to be the best version of himself.
All right, do they need someone else?
Oh, they definitely do need someone else. I think they need shooters. Because when Russell Westbrook struggles and when Paul George is not healthy, they need to be able to space the floor. They definitely need some shooters. Now, the problem here is you want to get a shooter on a discount because if you look at this roster, I mean, what they've invested in outside of the big two, Steven Adams, you're getting 14 points per game. Dennis Schroeder off the bench, giving you almost 16 points per game. Grant Ferguson are, they're starters. Outside of that, they're not getting much production. They have the 2nd worst production in the NBA and 30 points per game off the bench. So they need a better supporting cast. So outside of their starting 5, you've got Dennis Schroeder who plays well, but outside of that, you're only getting 30 points per game outside of Dennis Schroeder. You need some help. It can't just be on Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Steven Adams, and then hopefully a couple others.
Okay, so the Thunder don't have any cap space, which makes things a little bit problematic when you got to go out and try to add a player, a nice piece. Let's take a look at some of the free agents that are out there that might become part of the equation in Oklahoma City. You see Reggie Bullock, Kyle Korver, we know what kind of a shooter he is. Trevor Ariza has been a good defensive player in his time and also shoots the 3. Any of these guys fit the bill here?
All
Sinead?
three of them do. The big three, their payroll is $97 million, so you have to find a shooter on a discount. I like Trevor Ariza because he could blend into their defensive mindset, their offensive mindset, but he costs around $15 million. You don't have that wiggle room, so getting a Reggie Bullock or getting anyone else that can really stretch the floor will be important, especially if they can be around $2 mil, $3 mil, $4 mil. That's important for them.
All right, they're going to have to thread that needle. That's going to be very interesting. Chiney here joining us to talk about the situation in Oklahoma City.